Hey YouTubers, welcome back. Today I've got a John Deere D160 lawn tractor. It's got the Briggs V-twin engine, good engines. Customer says it cranks over, but it will not fire up. I've got the machine here in the driveway. I will go through all the diagnostic steps and I'll try to do the diagnostic as easy as I can because a lot of you guys are DIYers there at home doing the same repairs yourself, and hopefully I can save you a trip to the shop if you have the same problem. Okay, here it is, John Deere D160, the garden tractor. It's got the bigger wheels at the back. Briggs V-twin. I actually like these engines, by the way. I don't get too many problems with them. So what I'll do is get on this machine. I'll crank it over. Just show you what's going on here. There's the new filter that the customer put in, fuel filter. So we'll choke this baby up. Now it's running. What's going on? Okay guys, so the machine ran at the shop. It wasn't supposed to start actually because it did not start at the customer's. I drove it halfway across the driveway and it died on me, so there is something going on. I'll start it up again here. I'll ride it till it dies and show you what happens. This is what's going on. Only runs for a bit. Now it's dead. So personally, I think it's a fuel issue. What I'm going to check right now is that little solenoid under the carb right here. You want to hear this click when you turn the key on. And it is clicking, I can hear it. So what I'll do here is push it back to the shop and I'll check the fuel pump. Okay, here's the fuel pump. Before you replace your pump, make sure this line here is not punctured. Sometimes they crack. This is the impulse line. What also looks suspect here is I see no fuel in the fuel filter. Sometimes there can be air pockets. That can happen. So I got a piece of cardboard here to catch any dripping fuel. I'm going to disconnect the fuel pump right here and I'll turn the engine over to see if fuel is coming out. Now it's much safer if you connect another fuel line here, or else the gas will go right on your hot muffler and you don't want that. So now when I turn the engine over, there should be fuel going right in the container. Okay, we may have the problem. No fuel's coming out of the pump. So what I'll do here is replace the pump. But before replacing the pump, guys, there is one last thing I want to show you to check before you do that. So first come to the back, take your fuel cap off, and you want to look inside the fuel tank. And obviously make sure there's gas, but make sure that the fuel line that goes into the tank is not disconnected from the connector here. So I can see it down in there. It is in the fuel. I've seen it where the fuel line from inside the tank was disconnected and it didn't matter if you had a new pump or what, it just wouldn't pump. So there it is. See that white tube? So there's that white tube in the tank. There's a bit of dirt there I will clean up before it goes out to the customer, but it is in the fuel, so I'm okay with that, but always check that. Alright, so with a 5/16 nut driver you can get both bolts off here. Now here's the fuel pump I'm using for this. I always use the original Briggs pumps. Part number 597338. There is a link in the video description to where you can buy this online. And it's extremely important that you connect it exactly the same way it was. This is the output, this is input, and this is the impulse line. And make sure everything is clean here. So I'm actually going to disconnect the output line again. And test this pump out first too, just to make sure it's not another problem. Okay guys, got the new pump on. I will test it out, spin it over to see if fuel will come out. Okay, no fuel guys, new pump, no fuel. So we got another problem. Okay, what I'll do here is just unhook the new fuel filter, but the weird thing is the customer said he put the filter after he had problems. So there's no fuel at all in there. This looks like a cheap filter, by the way. I'm going to replace this filter. And usually there's a bit of fuel coming out of here. There's nothing. I'll just put it in like this for now, spin it over. See, that got filled up pretty quick. Look at that, there's fuel in there now. Okay, so I bet you now if I spin it over, the fuel will come out of here. Just shows you how you can get a bad filter, guys, but let's try it first. There we go. Now my dilemma here is that it's working with the new filter, didn't work with the old one. Should I leave the new fuel pump on or not? You know what? For what a pump costs, and I don't want the customer to call me back in a week, because he had this problem even with his previous filter, I'm just going to leave the fuel pump on just to make sure that he doesn't have any problems. It's not worth the risk. If it was for myself, yes, I would take the risk, because then no one's going to be yelling at me. It would be my own fault. So we'll try the machine out now and see what happens. She runs good, guys. So what I will do is I will call the customer and I'll give him the choice as to whether he wants to keep the new pump or if he wants to risk it with the old pump. So it's one of these things, guys, where it's a bit tricky. You don't want a customer to call you back in a week. Personally, I'd leave it on, but I'll leave it up to him. And if you run across this issue, guys, do exactly what I did here. Check your filter, check the fuel line in the tank, and also follow the fuel line from the fuel tank underneath the body, because sometimes it can be kinked. So what I mean by that is it could be under the body kinked like this, and it stops the flow of fuel. I have seen that before. But otherwise, start by changing your filter. Should have done that immediately. And then check the flow of fuel out of the fuel pump. And if you still have an issue, you may have to take the carburetor apart. But also very important is to check that the little solenoid under the carb here is making a clicking noise when you turn the switch on. Because if it's not doing the clicking noise, it's not letting any fuel into the carburetor. So the part number to the fuel filter and the fuel pump are in the video description, guys, with a link to where you can buy them online. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and make sure you are subscribed. Thanks for watching my channel.